Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. If you have not created a Savvy account, you can scan this QR code here. If you have a smartphone, that way you can create your Savvy account and follow along. Also, everyone in this webinar will be receiving an email after on how to sign up. So if you don't want to scan the QR code and you just want to participate in the webinar and just wait until after, you will be receiving an email. Few housekeepings. This is being recorded, so you will have access to it after. I also have a Q&A function. So if you have any questions, you can just type them out and I'll be able to get to those. And then also, if you do need to enable closed captioning, you can do so. That is a feature on Zoom. Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Dylan, and I am a customer support manager here at Savvy. I really appreciate everyone's time today. So thank you so much for being here. Meet Savvy, you are our top priority. We're here to serve student loan borrowers, not the student loans. I think one of the best aspects about Savvy is that we have insider information. We have over 2 decades of expertise, and a lot of people that work at Savvy have student loans or previously had student loans. And that allows us to know exactly what you're going through, and that way we can help you even more. Also, our location, we are based in Washington, D.C. We are steps away from the White House. We are right downtown, so that's especially important for our policy team because when anything goes on with federal loans, especially right now, there seems to be so many policy updates on the horizon. We are in the first to know. So we always relay that information directly to our Savvy users. Lastly, saving has never been easier. We help all of our users take advantage of the plans and forgiveness options that they qualify for. I think Savvy is a great program because it allows you to sign up and put in all your information and figure out everything that you qualify for when it comes to your federal loan. So you don't have to do a bunch of research or try to figure out if your loans qualify or not, or if you need to consolidate. Um, it is possible that you could qualify for different forgiveness options. So signing up for Savvy is great because we lead you in the right direction in terms of which option is going to save you the most money. A little bit more about us. We partner with a bunch of different employers and membership orgs to offer our services as a benefit. And I know that this webinar is focused on public service loan forgiveness and income-driven repayment plans, but just know we help out with everything having to do with federal loans. So this webinar doesn't touch on teacher loan forgiveness, but we do help out with teacher loan forgiveness. We help out with consolidations. We also can get your loans back in good standing if you're in default or delinquency. So many things having to do with federal loans we help out with. We have been a company since 2017 and we have grown really, really quickly. As of today, we have over 500 companies in the Savvy community. And yeah, we're constantly growing, which is great. And we are available to you and your family members. So if you do have family members with federal student loans, they can create Savvy accounts because of your AARP membership, which is also great. Orlando, you will be able to sign up after the webinar is done. Everyone here will be getting an email. Understanding federal loans. This is a little bit of education before we get into like the policy slides in this webinar, but I will be going over servicers, the different types of loans, income-driven repayment plans, and public service loan forgiveness. Savvy actually doesn't stand for anything. It's just the name of the company that the founders decided to name it. Servicers. So, as you have federal student loans, you're probably familiar with some, if not all, of these servicers. Let me know in the Q&A if you can see your servicer here. When it comes to federal student loans, you have one or maybe you have two. And I know a lot of people have had their loans kind of hop around from servicer to servicer. That unfortunately can happen. It could be kind of annoying, but just know that's just how federal loans work. Sometimes your loans can be sold to a different servicer, and there's unfortunately nothing you can do. But just know when you do sign up for Savvy, your servicer will remain the same as we are not a student loan servicer. So we are a private company and we don't hold people's loans. Okay, looks like Penny sees her servicer. We have a Advantage folks here. Peggy has Mohila. Let me know if you don't see your servicer, because then I can actually, maybe I need to update this slide. Add Financial and Nelnet. Another Nelnet. Nice. Ken has Advantage and Mohila. Another Nelnet. What company do you have? Sorry, I would say your name, but it's anonymous. Nelnet and Mohila. A lot of people have Nelnet. Nelnet and Mohila. Nice. So, getting into the types of loans now, I like to start with describing direct loans because they are the most basic loan type. And I call them basic because they're already eligible for these federal programs that you can get forgiveness through. Direct loans are um, eligible for public service loan forgiveness and also income-driven repayment plans. So whether you have direct subsidized or unsubsidized loans, as long as it has that direct in front of it, just know that you are eligible because of the loan type. Oh, okay. Someone says there's an echo or feedback. Is anyone else hearing an echo? Okay. So, okay, no one else is hearing the echo, so that just might be like an issue with your sound on your computer. I don't know if you are if you like have headphones in. Sometimes I feel like headphones can be a little bit wonky, but it looks like no one else is hearing an echo. Um yeah, also Christy, this is being recorded, so maybe the sound on your computer is off, but this is fully being recorded, so you will have access to the whole thing after. And there's no echo um with the recording. So, FFEL loans. I have a few loan types here that are highlighted in red because, as is, they're not eligible for those programs. So, if you have FFEL loans or Parent Plus loans, just know that we will help you consolidate them. If you do want to be eligible for those forgiveness programs, you need to consolidate your loans. So, it's definitely not the end of the world if you have FFEL or Parent Plus loans, but you just need to take that extra step to make sure that your loans qualify. Let me know if anyone is in that process or needs help with consolidation. I definitely think Savvy would be the perfect program for you to sign up for because we help out with consolidations. And then lastly, private loans. These are non-federal, so they do not qualify for any type of federal forgiveness. Yes, you can definitely consolidate one loan. You don't need to have multiple. So if you do have Parent Plus loans and you work in public service and you want to get that forgiven through public service, we can help you consolidate it. And let's say you have like a mix of Parent Plus loans and direct loans, you don't need to consolidate everything together. You can leave the direct loans alone and then just consolidate the Parent Plus loan. Only need to consolidate the ones that are non-eligible by themselves. Getting into IDR plan. So IDR stands for Income Driven Repayment Plan. I feel like a lot of you may already be enrolled in an IDR plan. If not, Savvy is a great program to sign up for so we can figure out if you're eligible and also if the IDR options are less than what you're paying now with your servicer, we can help you enroll in the plan. So the plans right now that are available are Pay, IBR, and ICR. Save still exists. I'm guessing a few of you are probably still in the Save plan forbearance. Let me know if that is the case. Just know that that is technically still an IDR plan, but it is on hold due to the lawsuits that are ongoing. They're called IDRs because they're predominantly based on your income. So if you have a higher income, your monthly payment will be higher. If you have a lower income, your payment will be lower. Also, they take into account family size as well, like how many dependents you have. IDR plans are great for people with relatively lower incomes and also those who are retired because you could be approved for a very low payment. You also could be approved for a $0 payment, and that $0 payment does count towards forgiveness progress. You need to recertify your plan every year. A lot of people do sign up for Savvy to have us recertify their plans for them. We take the stress out of it for our users. I know the IDR application can be kind of long, and there's like just a lot of boxes that you need to check. It's really likely for the IDR application to be rejected. Going through Savvy is great just because we have our document experts that are always, looking through all the forms that get submitted to servicers or federal student aid just to make sure that they're fully filled out correctly. Yes, Michelle, we can definitely help you get answers from Mohila. There could be a multitude of reasons why I'm assuming your IBR application is not getting processed or denied. It could just be because a lot of backlog with Mohila. So we could either resubmit or we could submit a complaint for you as well. Few people are on the SAVE program. It's not being processed. Is it being denied or is it just kind of in that continuous loop where it says it's been processing for months? Can Parent Plus loans be forgiven after 20 years? Parent Plus loans can be forgiven after 25 years. So actually, that brings me to this slide, and this is IDR forgiveness. So let's say you cannot get public service loan forgiveness because maybe you're retired or you don't work in public service or maybe you don't work full time in public service. Let's say you can't get teacher loan forgiveness because you're not a teacher. This is your next best option because it does forgive the entire balance of the loan. You have to make 20 to 25 years of payments, and it's 20 or 25 depending on the plan. For example, ICR is 25 years, IBR is 20 or 25 depending on when you borrowed, and pay is 20 years. No application is needed for IDR forgiveness, so it is automatic. You just need to make sure that you are enrolled in your IDR plan and making your monthly payments. So, Jeff, the income that they use is line 11. Yeah, line 11 of the first page of your 1040, and it's the AGI, adjusted gross income. That's what they use to make the calculation. No, you cannot apply for an IDR if you're in default. So you would need to get out of default, and there's two ways to get out of default, and that's something that we can help you do. Okay, Michelle, we can definitely help you. Basically just resubmit your form and get in touch with Mohila. Yeah. Yes, Marie, we help with public service loan forgiveness. I have some slides on that. Yeah, Save is in forbearance. So anyone that's in Save actually doesn't have to be making payments. It's been in forbearance, I want to say since I want to say since September of 2024, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, you do have to make a certain number of payments for forgiveness. So public service loan forgiveness is 120 payments, and then IDR forgiveness is those 20 years of payments or 25 years of payments. If you received a letter that my information was leaked, who sent you that letter? Susanna, yes, we would just need more information. So you could definitely create your Savvy account just so we can have all your information so we can help you. But yeah, there's been a lot of Savvy members that got their loans forgiven because their like schools like closed down or the school wasn't recognized as legitimate. Yeah, those are kind of one-off specific situations, but we can definitely help with that. Yes, retired people can pl apply for IDRs, and we can help you do that. So the lawsuit for Save, I have some policy updates on that. I have two slides on Save. But yeah, news just came out the other day. We do help out with permanent disability forgiveness. So we would just need to like ask your husband or get the information for you just to figure out the type of disability he has. But yeah, permanent disability definitely gets your loans forgiven. I will definitely save these questions as I move through the presentation. We can possibly help you look into the data leak. I haven't heard of Mokila having like major data leak, so that leads me to believe I don't know if that's like a scam letter or something. I would have to ask my policy team, but I just recommend for you to create your Savvy account and forward us the letter so we can look into what's going on. So, for public service loan forgiveness, you need three qualifying requirements. Qualifying employer: one, government organizations at any level, federal, state, local, or tribal, or nonprofit 501(c)(3)s. You have to work a minimum of 30 hours a week. That's what they define as full-time. You can combine multiple part-time employments to qualify. Secondly, you need qualifying loans. So those are going to be direct loans. Like I said, going back to the loan slide, if you don't have direct loans, maybe you have FEL or Parent Plus, we can help you consolidate those. Is anyone in here pursuing PSLF? Let me know. Lastly, you do need to be on a qualifying repayment plan. You need to be enrolled in an IDR plan. And once you are enrolled in that plan, you have to make your on-time monthly payments. So for PSLF, it is a 10-year program. So you need to make one payment every month for 10 years. That totals to 120. You cannot make the payments sooner than 10 years, so the payments do need to be separate monthly payments. And once you make the 120 payments, the remaining balance is completely forgiven. The payments don't need to be consecutive, which is nice. So it does offer you that flexibility. A lot of people I've seen at Savvy drop down to part-time. I've seen people go back to school. I've seen people get a different job in like the private sector and then they work there for a number of years and then they return to public service to get their loans forgiven. So just know the program is flexible because the payments do not need to be consecutive. How to apply is pretty straightforward. Definitely recommend signing up for Savvy so we can help you do this because we partner with a bunch of different employers. As of today, we have over 500 companies in the Savvy community. So it is very, very likely that we already work with your employer. So that's especially helpful when it comes to these forms, the employment certification form, also known as the ECF, because we will just send the form over to your employer to get it filled out and signed. And then when they fill it out and sign it, we will make sure that it looks good. Our document specialist will make sure that it is correct. And then we will submit it to federal student aid. It's totally okay if we don't work with your employer, by the way, because a lot of people um, in the community are very familiar with Savvy. So even if we don't have like a partnership with that employer, we still send the forms to them to get the forms filled out and signed. Um, And let's say you are new to PSLF and you have a bunch of previous employers that you have not certified before. Savvy's a great program because we will do all that legwork for you. Basically, just going back to those previous employers to get those forms filled out and signed. Let me answer some questions before I get into some policy updates. Penny was in SAVE, but this year they rejected my recertification request. Can it be reinstated? So if you're in SAVE, you don't have a recertification date. Like, even if your online account says you do, you don't just because you are in this forced forbearance. So if you're in SAVE, there's nothing you can do at this time besides leave SAVE and apply to a different IDR, if that makes sense. Yes, interest does accrue while you're in SAVE. So even though no payments are due, your interest is growing. Is it expensive for Savvy to check on Parent Plus loans? I've been in forbearance for a few years. Thanks. I get into the cost of Savvy. We have different membership tiers, and I have a slide on that. But I wouldn't say it's expensive to have a Savvy membership. Um, yeah. Michelle applied for PSLF, but they screwed up her application. Oh, so you're saying, however, I moved, so I no longer qualify. What do you mean you moved? Are you not working in public service anymore? Just give me a little bit info, more info. It used to be an IDR for years and then save for the last few years. Taken together, I'm sure I've been in those plans for likely 25. Can you help? Yes, definitely. We can help you. It can be kind of tricky right now because, I mean, as you know, a lot of trackers are down. So it's likely that you can't go into your servicer account to see how many payments you have to IDR forgiveness. That's definitely something that we can help you do. If you work for a nonprofit but want to get the loan paid off ASAP, what plan? To be honest, I would, if your goal is not public service, but your goal is to pay off the loan as quickly as possible, I wouldn't recommend a public service loan forgiveness just because the payments do need to be separate monthly payments for 10 years. So that is very long. The reason why people do that is because they are less interested in getting the loan paid off as soon as possible, but they're more interested in getting the balance forgiven, even if it takes them 10 years. So for you, I would just ask like, how much money are you making? How much can you pay your loan every month? All of those questions just to figure out if there's a plan that you can be on. It's likely not an income-driven repayment plan because that's based on your income. If your goal is to pay it off as quickly as possible, you're probably going to be in a different plan. But all in all, even if you're in a plan that says that you need to pay a certain amount, you could always pay over that amount. Like if your goal is to pay it off as quickly as possible, you can be in any plan and just overpay, if that makes sense. But we can help you figure out those details. It is in December, I will have been making payments for ICR in 25 years. Will my loan be forgiven? Yes. If you have been making your full monthly payments on an ICR and you've been recertifying on time and you've never been kicked off, then yeah, the IDR forgiveness is automatic. Yes, I retired. Send me the form on loan forgiveness, please. So if you're retired, unfortunately, you cannot do public service loan forgiveness, but there's always teacher loan forgiveness for retirees and then income-driven repayment plan forgiveness you can pursue if you're retired. I'm about 13 payments away from IDR forgiveness. Will it happen right away when I'm eligible? It should happen right away. In my 5 years of working at Savvy, um, I have seen situations where it has taken the servicer longer to process. So when it comes to that, like you have two options, and this goes for PSLF too. Like you can either continue to pay. I feel like a lot of people do have anxiety around forgiveness because they don't trust the system. I mean, rightfully so. So like a lot of people do just honestly keep on paying and then whatever they overpay, they get refunded, at least for PSLF. Or you can put yourself in a forbearance. If you know for a fact that you've hit your number of payments, you don't want to overpay, you put yourself in a forbearance. and just wait for the servicer to process the forgiveness. So we can help you figure out whichever option is best for you. Yeah, Stephanie, that info should be in your IDR tracker, but as of now, it's down, but that's also something that we can help you with. Lisa says, I work for public service in Ohio. It doesn't seem like it's been forgiven and the loan has not been forgiven. Can you help? Yes. How many credits do you have towards PSLF? Yes, if you have a Parent Plus loan, you can apply for IDR and we can help you with that. Um, PS11 progress, IDR application processing since September. Should I resubmit? I recommend submitting a complaint. But if you resubmit, that could also trigger movement. But if you create your Savvy account, we can definitely help you figure out which route is best. Michelle, even if you moved out of state, that doesn't change your PSLF eligibility. You don't have to work in the state or live in the state to get your loans forgiven. Are you still working in public service? No, it doesn't count if you make two payments a month. Lisa, yeah, you can definitely join Savvy. Later in the presentation, I have slides on how to sign up. Yeah, you cannot pursue PSLF if you're retired. You need to be currently working at least 30 hours a week to get public service loan forgiveness. So for you, Michelle, what it sounds like is you applied for PSLF while you were working full time and you should have had your loans forgiven. Um, that is going to be a complaint process because your loan should have been forgiven while you were working full time. So definitely sign up for Savvy because this is just going to be a complaint process where we have to gather a bunch of information for you and submit a complaint to federal student aid to basically prove that your loan should have been forgiven while you were working, but for some reason it wasn't. So we just need to give them all that info. In my 5 years of working here, I have seen that happen a bunch of times, and it's just a complaint process. What year income tax return can be used to calculate how much repayment per month? It depends. It's your most recent one. So if you haven't filed your taxes since 2023 or 2024, you would just use that 1040. Michelle, okay, that makes sense. It's just this is more detailed, so I can't give a straight answer right now over a webinar, but if you create your Savvy account, we can get more into the details and see if we can help. Yes, Melissa, this is being recorded and you will have access to it. I'm no longer working in public service and made all 120 payments, but I'm only getting credit for 98. Did you submit when you were working in public service for full time, did you submit a form that would have gave you credit for the remaining credits? Or did you stop working in public service and never submit that last form? Okay, let me get into some policy updates. I will leave some time after to answer some of these questions. So, SAVE is ending. I know a few of you had questions about the SAVE plan. What has happened? So February 27th, the lawsuit to end SAVE was dismissed, no settlement or block on the plan, so SAVE remains intact. But as of March 3rd, GOP states File to reinstate injunction while they appeal. If granted, save benefits could be blocked again. The court was asked to rule by 5 p.m. March 4th. The Trump administration took no position. What this means for you. So there's no change yet. Save borrowers remain in forbearance. So that means payments are paused and no forgiveness credit during this time. No forced transitions to a new plan. Advocacy groups want the Department of Education to reopen Save and process forgiveness. States are definitely trying to block this. Um, so as of now, if you are in Save, really nothing has happened yet. If you are pursuing PSLF, just know that you can do the buyback. And if you have more specific questions about the buyback, definitely let me know. What you should do now is definitely just continue from us, at least we are going to continue to update you and give you guidance whenever anything comes out about the safe plan. But if you do want to change a plan or if you are debating whether or not you should, definitely create your Savvy account so we can lead you in the right direction. It really just depends what program you are pursuing. Like if you're in the safe plan, but you're trying to pursue IDR forgiveness, I definitely would recommend you switch plans because this time period does not count towards forgiveness. However, if you are in the SAVE plan, but you are pursuing PSLF, you can stay in the forbearance and just do the buyback. So it just depends. We can help talk you through those options. The bigger picture, SAVE is going to phase out by July of 2028 under the One Big Beautiful Bill, regardless of court outcomes. As always, we are monitoring the situation to give you the most accurate updates. IDR repayment is still available, but timing matters. Right now, borrowers can still enroll in IBR Pay or ICR. The rules around IBR were recently expanded, so you no longer need to prove partial financial hardship to qualify. But just know there are processing delays. So I know a few of you were saying that your IDRs have not been processed. Just know that there is a lot of backlog right now. A lot of people are submitting buyback applications, so that kind of slows everything down as well. So just know if your IDR isn't processed quickly as it used to be, it just will take a little bit more time. Their payment system is being rebuilt in real time. Over the next few years, their menu of IDR plans is scheduled to shrink. Pay and ICR are expected to phase out, while a new IDR plan called their Payment Assistant Plan, also known as RAP, is scheduled to launch July 2026. So that is right around the corner. RAP is designed to prevent balances from ballooning by waiving unpaid interest for borrowers who make their required monthly payment. It also includes a small monthly principal benefit for some borrowers. That said, RAP's forgiveness timeline is longer than what many borrowers associate with IDR today. Buyback is the best option when you are at 120 months of qualifying PSLF work. Wage garnishment restarts for defaulted borrowers. Wage garnishment was scheduled to restart in January with initial notices expected in early January. But as an update, wage garnishment is currently on hold following recent federal guidance, and enforcement has been paused until further notice. A little bit more about wage garnishment is it allows for up to 15% of disposable pay to be withheld from each paycheck. It can start quickly once you're in default, and it's hard to get out of garnishment. So if you are in a situation where you're struggling to make your monthly payment, or maybe you are close to default or delinquency, definitely reach out to us because that is something that we can help you get out of. Getting out of default is very straightforward. And there's two ways to do it, just depending on your loan type and your loan history. Yes, and this is being recorded, so you will have access to it after. Lisa, do you have access to your FSA tracker to see your payments for PSLF? That's okay if your loans have been transferred from OHELA to CRI. That doesn't mean that your progress towards PSLF is erased. Stephanie, even if your IDR, you're paying $0, if that's what you qualified for, then that $0 payment counts towards forgiveness. I'm in PSLF program on the SAVE program. Given that my payments are on hold, is there a possibility of buying back the months where I work for a nonprofit organization during the hold period once the hold is lifted? Yeah, that's exactly what the buyback is. The hold does not have to be lifted in order for you to do the buyback. So whenever you were at 120 months of qualifying work, that's when you do the buyback. Yes. If your husband has his own loans, he will have to create his own account. PSLF is for the individual. You cannot combine PSLF for a couple. It's based on the individual and their work history. No, the principal and the interest of the loan is forgiven through IDR forgiveness. But just know for IDR forgiveness, whatever's forgiven is considered taxable income. Someone says Savvy charges to manage my student loan, meaning Savvy services loan searches loan servicers and recommends the best one. No. So if you're a Savvy user, you already have your loans with a different servicer. So we're our own private company. What other options are available to help with payments if you're retired? Definitely an income-driven repayment plan. Someone says, I'm 2 years retired and my problem is that the monthly payment amount is too high. I worked for the state for 16 years and was never approved for loan forgiveness. Um, I would definitely need some more info from you, so you could always create your Savvy account so we can get into these details. I'm in default. Does government garnish Social Security income? They can garnish any income, but right now garnishment is paused. Many borrowers are near default cliff. More borrowers are falling behind. Many people are choosing between paying their student loans and covering basic needs. Um, so if you do need help switching your IDR plan or maybe even getting into like a hardship forbearance, that's definitely something that we can help you with. I have an update for Parent Plus borrowers. How many people in this webinar have Parent Plus loans? Definitely let me know. This slide is very important. The rules are changing this year. Borrowers will have fewer repayment and forgiveness options, and timing will matter more than ever. Consolidation is required to keep options open. Borrowers who don't complete consolidation by July 1st risk losing access to IDR repayment and forgiveness. So if you do have Parent Plus loans and you want to get your loans forgiven in the future, you do have this July 1st deadline now. We're strongly encouraging people to submit these applications by April 1st because the entire consolidation does need to be complete by July 1st. So that gives it a few months for the servicer and federal student aid to process it. So a little bit more about PSLF. It's in place. It's protected by law. It was written into law in 2007, and nothing is going to change about the program. Um, I definitely feel like a lot of people have uncertainty right now just because of the processing delays and employment verification issues and a lot of policy changes. A lot of you may know about the One Big Beautiful Bill and how that is affecting employer eligibility. These rules are supposed to take effect in 2026, specifically in July, where the Trump administration had signed to block certain employers from PSLF eligibility. As of now, we don't know exactly which employers those are going to be. We do know it's not going to affect the majority of people pursuing PSLF, though. So most public servants will not be affected by this. So as soon as we know which employers will be blocked, everyone in the Savvy community will be aware. Okay, I like to stop here before moving on to see if anyone has any questions. No, there's no lawsuit going on with PSLF right now. Lynn, I would just need more of your repayment information to answer that. But since you're retired, you can't pursue PSLF, but IDR forgiveness could be an option. If you consolidated your plus loan into a direct loan, um, you don't necessarily have to be in an IDR, but if you would like to, we can definitely help you do that. And especially that will open you up for IDR forgiveness in the future. The buyback is available for people that are at 120 months of qualifying PSLF work. So, in summary, what happens is you will reach your 120 months of PSLF work, and then that's when you submit the application to your servicer. I like to come up with a simple numbers just to help you guys understand. So, let's say that I was in the buyback for 10 months. And let's say my repayment should have been $1, but I was on the safe plan, so I couldn't make those payments, right? What will happen is I will go to my servicer and they will say, okay, Dylan should have been paying $1 every month for 10 months, but she couldn't do that because she was in the safe plan. She owes us $10. So what will happen is you will give your servicer that $10. It's definitely going to be a larger amount, most likely. So they do give you 3 months to make that payment. Once you give them the entirety of that payment, then that's when they process your forgiveness. So the only time you're eligible to do the buyback is when you're at 120 months of qualifying work. Also, like I said, they do give you 3 months to make the payment. Also, you can agree to it or not. So a lot of people, they don't agree to the buyback because the amount is something that they cannot pay back in 3 months. So it is important to figure out if it's something that you want to do or if it's something that you can afford. But just know, even if you submit the buyback application, you're not tied into it. You do have the option to accept or deny. Nice, Cheryl. Tammy, Savvy's the name of the company. I have slides on how to create your account, so just wait for those. So, a lot of options can definitely leave you lost. It can be very stressful and confusing, and that's exactly why our founders created Savvy. So, you do get a lot of benefits from the program. You're able to see your repayment options you qualify for, your forgiveness options, I think it's really important right now because our policy team is working very hard when it comes to these policy updates. We're always monitoring for new programs and the changes, especially right now with the One Big Beautiful Bill starting in 2026. It's so important to stay informed. Also, the more logistical aspect of what we do, whatever paperwork you need submitted to federal student aid or your servicer, that is what we will submit for you, recertifications, PSLF forms, etc. We work directly with your employers to get those filled out and signed. And then also, a big perk is that you have access to our customer success team. So, whether you prefer live chat or email or sometimes phone call, we also have a calling center. We make it very easy for you to reach out to us to get your questions answered. Oh, I see what you're saying, Tammy. Yeah. So this is Savvy. So, three simple steps to get started. I will go into each of these in detail. You're going to start your application, and that's when you see what you qualify for. And then from there, you could start saving. So you want to go to this website. Like I said, everyone here will be receiving an email after on how to create their accounts. I know some of you already have accounts, which is great. So this is going to be kind of a review. This is the website that you will see. And over here, you will enter some information, your expected income, and your monthly student loan payment. Here is the QR code again. I will leave it up here for a second if you would like to do it on your phone and follow along, or just wait until the webinar is over. I know a lot of you are AARP members already, so if you already have an account, you can log in, which is here. If you would like to create an account and become an AARP member, you can do that and still have access to Savvy. So you don't have to have a membership to have access to Savvy. You can still create your accounts. Alexia, no. When you consolidate your Parent Plus loan or any loan, the servicer will put you in a forbearance, and they put you in the forbearance until the consolidation is complete. Michael, if your loan is in good standing and you are not in default or delinquency, and that's just the name of your servicer, then yes, we work with any federal servicer. Yeah, I've definitely seen loans be forgiven for a multitude of reasons. Not a data leak, but definitely like a class action lawsuit. And also, I know I talked about this in the beginning of the webinar. Like, for example, if your school shut down or if your school somehow just became illegitimate, I've seen people get their loans forgiven for those reasons. Okay, now I go over a few slides just to get you a little bit more familiar with the tool before you go about it yourself. This is the family section where we ask you about your family size and your tax filing status. This is important because it goes into the IDR estimate. Also, income, employment. This section is very important if you are pursuing PSLF or if you are interested in teacher loan forgiveness. This is how the Savvy tool determines the eligibility of your employer. And also, this is information that we need so we can reach out to your employer to get your forms filled out and signed. This is the loan sync section. This is how you upload your loan information. And going way back to the loan slide in the very beginning, this is important because we want to make sure that you have the correct loan type. And let's say you have a Parent Plus loan or a FFEL loan, we will be flagged on our side, and that's how we connect with you to consolidate the loans. You're welcome, Stephanie. Tammy, for PSLF, you do have to be employed full time. If you die before the loan is paid off, then the loan gets forgiven. It's called discharge due to death. I used to be an IDR for years and save for the last few years. Taken together, I'm sure I've had been in those plans for likely 25 years. What options can I have? We can definitely help you. Save, unfortunately, does not count towards IDR forgiveness, but if you have your IDR payments in other plans, we can definitely figure out how many payments you have and if you're eligible for IDR forgiveness. I was closed out of the SAVE program during the pandemic and then went back on income driven as soon as it was lifted. Does that count during the SAVE program shutdown? Where do I find the information where I can see how many more years I need to keep paying? Are you pursuing IDR forgiveness or public service loan forgiveness, Stephanie? When I last considered loan consolidation about 4 years ago, the payment was estimated to be greater than I was already paying, shouldn't it be less? Um, it depends. It really depends. It depends what loans you're consolidating and the loan type. So there's a multitude of reasons as to why someone would consolidate. You could change your loan type from a FFEL loan to a direct loan. Sometimes people consolidate a bunch of direct loans to one direct loan. So all of those factors matter. So for you, I would definitely need more information, like the loans that you were consolidating, your income at the time, your interest rate. Um, so unfortunately, I can't give you an answer on this webinar, but if you do create your Savvy account, then we can look into that for you. You're welcome. Yeah, Tammy, we can always help you come up with a plan to pay off your debt. Savvy's a great program. You don't necessarily have to join Savvy because you're eligible for a federal forgiveness program. We work with a bunch of people, even if you have private loans or public loans, coming up with the best way to pay off your loan balance, even if you can't get forgiveness. No, Alexia, being in forbearance does not hurt your credit. It's such a quick forbearance because it takes the loan servicer like less than a month or a month and a half to process the consolidation. If my federal loan is paid off prior to 25 years, but I did work for public service for the required time, could I get a refund of some amount? No, the only refund you can get is if you're actively pursuing PSLF and get your loans forgiven through PSLF and have overpayments for PSLF. If the Parent Plus loan is in my name, do you want my income only or my husband's also if our tax are filed jointly? We would still need your husband's income if you file jointly. Because even if you file separately or jointly, they do take into account your spouse's income to a certain extent. Can student loans be dismissed or part of their student loans if one applies for bankruptcy? That depends on your loan type. I recommend creating your Savvy account so we can get more details from you. So, once you fill out all that information, you will go to the plan options page, and this is what you see when you get your IDR estimate. So you see the IDR plan, how much you're going to be paying monthly, how much you're going to be paying total, how many years a month you'll be paying, and also the expected amount of forgiveness. Getting into the membership tiers, we have DIY, Essential, and Pro. Let me know if you have any specific questions on these membership tiers. DIY is always going to be free. Because Essential and Pro are paid plans, you do have a money back guarantee. Essential is $75 for the year, and Pro is $175 a year. Our most popular plan is Essential because you do really receive the core of our services with Essential. You have no forms to complete, everything is automated, you have access to customer support, and it is discounted due to your membership. Pro, you do receive all that plus a little bit more. You do have access to schedule one-on-one calls with our experts. You have access to a financial planner, and you do get a student loan review. So I would say if you do really like the idea of the hand-holding aspect of Savvy, I would recommend Pro. A lot of our Pro users like that one-on-one attention they get from our experts. And also, a lot of people that have Pro usually have had really bad experiences in the past with their loan. So they just want to make sure that they're doing everything right. And even if you do sign up for Pro and you realize it's not for you, you could totally downgrade to Essential and we will give you that money back guarantee. But if you do need help figuring out which plan is best for you, definitely let us know. More screenshots. This is the dashboard. This is what you see when you first create your account. Application monitoring is great. Let's say you don't have time to get on live chat or email us and you want to find the status of your forms. You could always log into your account to figure out the status of your forms. We make it very easy for you to reach out to us. We do have a contact support button on our website. So whether you want to email, live chat, or phone call, we also have a great help center. So we're constantly writing new articles about what's going on in the student loan space. I know a lot of you had a lot of questions about the Save Plan updates and the One Big Beautiful Bill. You will find all the articles in our help center um, regarding those policy updates. Can be very helpful. Now, we do have an opportunity just for AARP users. This is Khadijah. You guys probably are familiar with her because she also gives a few webinars. But if the idea of having a free onboarding call is helpful to you, this is our 50 plus student loan expert, and she can help you set up your account and enroll in a plan. Everyone will be getting a link to this after the webinar is done. So if that sounds interesting to you, just wait for that link. It's going to be in the email to you, and you can book your call with Khadijah. Okay, so here's the QR code again. I will leave it here. I like to leave some time after to answer any questions that you guys may have. You're welcome, Peggy. Let's see what questions I can answer. My question about the direct loan consolidation earlier, will it qualify for PSLF with a 30-year timeline, or do I have to refinance? PSLF is 10 years. So even though a direct loan has a 30-year timeline, that is irrelevant if you are pursuing PSLF. There's no ceiling on IDR eligibility. High earners can still enroll in an IDR plan, but it just means your payment will be extremely high because the IDRs take a percentage of your income. But there's no max. You're welcome. Thank you, Cheryl. If I'm currently in a PSLF program but then retire before the 120 payments, will I be able to switch to participate in an IDR plan to qualify for IDR forgiveness? Yes, you can, but no, your PSLF progress cannot transfer to a different program. Stephanie, I recommend creating your account to get some more help. I was on Save before the lawsuit and then switched again back to IBR during the forbearance. Wouldn't those saved payments count towards forgiveness? Not as of now, but when you do the buyback, they will count. Will the cost be per your income at the time? Yes, it will be. So if you can remember what you were paying on the Save plan before it went into forbearance, that is what your payment will be. It will be that amount times the amount of months that you were in the Save plan. Thank you, Jeff. Okay, I am at the hour. Sometimes Zoom does kick me off, but I will stay on to see if anyone has any more questions in the meantime. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Pam. Thank you, Michael. Thanks, Richard. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Penny. Thank you, Orlando. Thanks, Umid. Thanks, Marie. Thanks, Michelle. Thank you. So there is confusion around if save plan counts for IDR. So when you were making payments, yes, but because of this forbearance and the litigation is still ongoing, we're not sure if the forbearance counts towards IDR forgiveness. And we're also not sure if you could do the buyback for IDR forgiveness. You can 100% do the buyback for PSLF. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Charlene. Thank you, Nanette. Yes, if your payment is $0, that does count towards forgiveness. And to piggyback off of, so someone had a question about the IDR and the save. If you want to pursue IDR forgiveness and you're in save, I know here at Savvy we're recommending that you switch to a different repayment plan because one, you cannot do the buyback for IDR forgiveness. The buyback is only for PSLF for people in save. So if you're pursuing IDR forgiveness and you're in the save plan, it's really best for you to switch to a different IDR because it's so up in the air. We're not sure if these months of forbearance will count towards IDR forgiveness. Yes, payments that you actually made, like when the save was not in forbearance, that counts. But after that, we're not sure if that will ever end up counting. Yes, your husband does need to create his own Savvy account if he wants help with his loans. Like if he doesn't have loans, then no, but if he wants help with his loans, yeah, he can create his own account. Okay, it doesn't look like there's any more questions. I really appreciate your time today. I recommend creating a Savvy account. We are on live chat every day from 9 to 5 EST. It's a great, quick way to get your questions answered. And we're not AI, so when you do chat with us, you're going to be chatting with a human. You might end up chatting with me or anyone else on the customer success team. Thanks, Alexia. Melissa, it's $50 for the year. So you only pay it once, and then you have access for the entire year. Susanna, yeah, that it really depends on like the loan type, and there's a lot of nuance regarding that. I would say you could always create your Savvy account and get in touch with our customer success team so we can give you like a clear answer. But I don't have a really clear answer on that right now. And also, I don't believe we have a help center article on that either. But that's okay because we help out with anything student loan related, and we can definitely help you with that specific question. You're welcome, Melissa. Susanna, I would press contact support so we can make sure that your account is up and running. I really appreciate everyone's time today, and I hope you have a great rest of your Thursday. Thanks, Susanna.